All right, you are recording. You are recording this meeting. All right, so now what? Well, we have kind of one mission today, right? And our mission here is to outline what it is we need to do for our midterm. That'll be next week, and that'll be next week Tuesday. And then I don't know if you're like on quarantine or something. Like when you come back, you can take the other. You can take another midterm. But as I mentioned before, really the thing to consider, the thing to keep in mind is that we have really until this date here to figure out what we're going to do for this class. And what I mean by that is, you may be like, well, I'm going to just kick the can in this class. I'll take it later in my course rotation. I don't want to say that's okay. You can do that. You probably would be okay with doing that unless you're like a junior. If you're a junior, then the class probably won't come up again until you should be graduated. So that might not be a recommendation. Again, you can always reach out to me and let me know. But if you find that, the class, you're not doing too well, I can't devote enough time to it, whatever might be the case, that October 30th is really an important date, really not only for this class, but really all your classes, because this is the date in which you're able to drop the class up to this date and get a withdrawal pass. So remember, a withdrawal pass is different from a withdrawal fail, because a withdrawal pass means is that you just get a WP on your transcript and it does not affect your GPA. Where if you take a WF, that means you've waited until after October 30th and you withdrew from the class or dropped the class, you get a WF, which that WF is on your transcript. And that means that you really, in essence, got an F. And it does factor into your GPA. It's like you got 0 credits, right? So again, something to consider. It's coming up. So my point is that if you decide to take the midterm plan B action and you take it on the 28th, well, I can tell you right now, the 28th is not a good day anyway, because I'm not doing anything on that day. So this day is like non-existent. This day does not exist. I will not be available. So let's say you take it on, I don't know, the 27th or the 29th. It's very unlikely that I could probably get you feedback, turn around, figure out what your grades are. I mean, so again, you need to plan accordingly. Again, if you're on quarantine or whatever that is, or because you need to be there physically for you to take the midterm. I can't have anyone take it outside of the lab. Obviously, there's obvious reasons for that. One is I have to proctor it. I have to verify that you are in fact taking it, and you're not just going online. So I like to outline all the rules now before we get to the midterm, so I don't have to waste any time there talking about stuff that we should already know. So it goes without saying, then when you come in to class on the 20th or, on the 23rd, we're going to be talking about something else. But more than likely, if you're not there on the 20th, you probably won't be there on the 23rd, right? Because you'd be like on quarantine or something, which hopefully nobody is, because you've had 2 weeks off. But at any rate, the point is, I'll figure that out. But when you come in on the 20th, we just want to sit down and get going. So sit down at your computer, lab computer, sanitized station, all that baloney. But what I want you to make sure you have before you sit down is you've remoted into your computer and that computer is ready to go. So maybe you wait till Monday to do that, and you're going to come into class and then you're going to sit down that computer and get it all set up. What you want to get set up is you want to get set up a project that has everything in it that you need. Okay. So that means naming a new project, midterm, CSCI 315. I'll go through all that and show you how to do it and what you at least need to have in a minute after we talk about more about these rules. So you can sit down, you're going to have everything ready. You're going to open up midterm plan A, and then you're going to do it. And that's it. That's the midterm. The midterm is like, really, it's a lab, right? It's a lab, but it looks, you're going to do it. Now, in the instructions, I say submit it up into Azure. Honestly, just attach the files, and make sure you attach all of the files. Don't just attach your source file. Don't just attach your class file. Attach everything. So I'm going to go over that in a minute. The other rule is you can look at any examples that you've done in Visual Studio, right? So if you've done, if you remember this program from the Wayback Time Machine and CSCI 105, if you want to refer to that, I mean, you're more than welcome to do that. You can refer to any of your own work. What you cannot do is you cannot go online and look up examples, right? And be like, oh, well, how do I do that? Oh, how do I instantiate a class with the blah, blah, blah? No, you can't do that. And again, there's a reason for that, because probably you can find an answer out there. So you can't use the internet to look up anything. You put whatever you want here. If you want to make handwritten notes, by all means, open book. That's okay too. I don't know how useful that's going to be though. But I mean, whatever notes you have, that's fine. What I don't want is people going to the internet and searching stuff. If you do that, honestly, I'll just give you a 0 because you're not prepared. Don't cheat. We should be at that point. We don't need to do that. All right, so that's that. That's kind of the rules. I don't want to say that I forget anything. Now, obviously, when you're done with the exam, you can leave. Some of you, I would anticipate, would not need the whole time, right? So if our class goes to 12, 15, or 30 or something, I don't know when our class goes to. But at any rate, the point is if you're done early, you can leave. You don't have to hang around. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. I think that's the rules. Anybody think I forgot any or would like to add any rules? No, everybody's good.
Oh, this is muted. I say it's pretty much the same rules from last time. So.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, you could look at anything you had worked on before. Use the book and stuff. I just don't want any. And that's why I have to proctor it. I have to proctor it because I know I would be tempted. I'd be like, you know what? There's probably this answer on the internet, and then look it up. No, we can't, because that's not assessing anything. Okay. So that's the deal, yo. Now we have to talk about what it is we need to do. But before we talk about like the example, and again, some of you are probably familiar with this. So what I'm going to do is, I just won't save any work. Let me think about this. No, it's going to want me to save it. All right, well, fine, whatever. Just go over here. All right, so like I said, the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure you come to the exam, the midterm, prepared. How do I do that? Well, you log into the computer that you're going to be sitting at. Reserve the computer first. So, because I can tell you right now, there are some people that are, they're logging in and not reserving the computer, and I don't even know what's happening there. Like, I haven't heard any complaints, but I just know that's happening. And if you want to take that gamble, that's up to you. I wouldn't. And you guys are, been here far long enough to know, like, well, I'm not going to go into that. But at any rate, so file, I'm going to come in there, I'm going to say new project. And I'm going to need, I'm just going to select the NP project. I don't want a bunch of garbage in here. And I'm going to say CSCI 315, midterm, you want to call it midterm. Now, I don't want it here, right? I probably want it somewhere else. Put it in this folder. If I do that, I'll just do this. Okie dokie. So we'll select that folder for that business. Okay, so then I got it in midterm. Okay, good. Now, what am I all going to need? Well, that's going to be over here, right? So I know I'm going to need to have a source file that's going to be my driver program. That's going to, test out, run. This is where my main function is going to be. So again, I don't want to say whatever you want to call it. I don't think I even have any rules on this stuff. So if I want to call this, something easy that I can.
Would just main be fine?
Yeah, you could just call it main. All right. So you can be like, yeah, it's my main. So that way I keep track of stuff. Okay, cool. And then, okay, right. It's just a blank file. Well, you better have in here like, IO stream, whatever, you're going to need to have some include statements. You may not know what those are. And again, you don't want to include a bunch of stuff that you don't need. And I think that becomes more apparent now that we have to include our own header files, right? Our own libraries, our own classes. I need to be specific on what I need here. So don't include the kitchen sink, right? You just want to include what you need. So you're going to have some include statements. The other thing, right? And did I mention this last time? Wait, what day is today? Tuesday. So did I mention this on Friday about grading your guys' labs? Did I talk to you about that yet? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Okay. So, well, I know what it was in the 215 class, right? That was yesterday. 215 class, I had talked about including header information. Like I saw a lot of assignments without that. That is something that I need to grade for, right? So when you get the rubric, when you look at the rubric for the midterm, it's going to have on there a section that's called documentation. Did you document this stuff? So again, all of that stuff, all the examples that you've seen in the book that are like, here's my accessor functions, here's my mutator functions, and what do these things do? You need to include that stuff. You need to have a description in there. So it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be like really detailed, but getter function for the blank value, right? It would be just something simple. Just give me a comment there, right? So you're probably going to spend a little bit of time, not only just writing it, but then also commenting it. But what you'll see is that the program is very lightweight, so it shouldn't take it that long to write. At any rate, point is include header info, right? So I'm going to include that at the top. Then, all the other stuff, int main, all that. Take another program if you want and just copy and paste that crap using namespace standard, all that business. So I'm going to have this main driving source file here. And then I know I'm going to have two other things. I'm going to have a class file. So I'm going to have a class file. I don't know what I'm going to call that yet, but I'm just going to call it class, right? And you can see if I do that, and then I know I'm going to have it, you're going to have in addition to the specification, you have an implementation file. So I'm going to create a implementation file for my class. And if it helps you, you can put in the include here. And, we didn't use this crap. We use the if not defined, define it. So you can start filling in some of this stuff. And again, feel free to put in whatever you want here. If you want to put in some prototypes because you forget about how to use the scope resolution operator within your class file, I mean, you could put that stuff in there. And then if you outlined it correctly, if you spent some time with this, you could just do a simple replace, right? So if I use the word class here on all this stuff, which actually you wouldn't want to do, right? Because class is a reserved word. So, you can use it, but, obviously you can't keep it. Maybe that's a good indication that I need to change it. But, I just do a simple replace, find and replace with whatever the name of my class is, right? So you can put that in here. And then you can just do replace all, bam. You do have to keep in mind if you use class anywhere else, it'll replace it with whatever. So again, however much work you put up front with this is how much time you're going to save in your midterm. So you want to spend some time with this. Again, I don't care what you show up with. Be ready to rock and roll. If you want to have, and you're going to want to have two monitors, probably, I'm sure, looking at example on the right-hand monitor, whatever, working on the left. If you want to bring in your own laptop and you want to, because that's maybe where you have Visual Studio, want to do everything, that is okay. But do keep in mind that, I need to be able to see that. Like you can't be like hiding in a corner with your laptop, like So I just need to be able to see your screen. And again, make sure you have all your tabs closed. You don't want to accidentally open up something that you were just doing research on before class, right? So make sure you got all that crap closed if it's your personal laptop. There's no need to get in Moodle. There's nothing there. So you shouldn't need to get into a browser in class. You should just need to open up Teams and Visual Studio. Anything else with that? No, you'll only be using or developing one class. There's nothing with inheritance. Certainly nothing with polymorphism because we didn't have any examples on that or labs. So you don't have to worry about the base class and all that stuff that you probably are sweating, with the transformer stuff. It's not that complex. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's the, and again, make sure you show up ready to rock. However much time you want to spend on this. If you just showed up with the midterm with this, just like we have here, that's super lame. Don't do that. Take half an hour to get everything nice and neat, make you understand where everything's at. What do you have to modify? Oh yeah, after I've actually figured out what my class name is, I need to go back and I have to rename these to whatever my class name is, right? You could keep them class in class and include the class name, but again, you can't because it's a reserved word anyway. So you would have to change it to something else. But again, not that, it's required, and Tony in our book says that, hey, you can have these could be different, but best practice is name the files the same as a class, right? Whatever the class name is. If the class name happens to be employee, name it employee.h, employee.cpp, right? What else? Actually, I think you'll be able to get away with it because you'll be able to, if that's in parentheses, right? If that's you actually could include that. So that would actually work, but I'm not going to tell you that, even though I just did. Okay, so let's look at what we need to do then for preparing. And what we have to do for preparing is in Teams. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Somebody had a comment. I'm not paying attention. No. That was 5 minutes ago. What was the no for, Harry? I said so much stuff.
You're just asking about if we talked about the grading on Friday.
Okay. Yeah. And again, the grading just boiled down to, right, thing about, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it was about this and making sure that you're commenting stuff, right? Because something as simple as variables, right? We just say, hey, I'm using these variables. Hey, that's great, but what are those variables? It was very evident in me in the 215 when I was grading. I was like, man, these like, variables made up or not even used, right? So at any rate, just make sure you're commenting that stuff because this program, as long as you come to the midterm prepared, you will have enough time to not only complete it, but then also comment it well. And I would suggest that definitely at least at a minimum within the main, I want to do this. I want to do that. Right, to do that. Put that stuff in there just generally. I mean, it takes like 15 seconds, right? Just to outline it, like I want to do these things.
Is there a class before our class for the midterm?
Yes, there is.
Because I wanted to know if I could come in early and set up my Google Drive on either of the computers in there or not.
I mean, you could probably come in like 10 minutes early, but we go until 10:45, and it's a professor lunch class, so we go until 10:45.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind, you can always remote into the computer. So you could always remote in, reserve it, and then do what you need to do. Although I don't know, well, Jessica and Steck, you sit in the same spots that you sit in 315. So people can remote into the other computers, but just reserve them at any rate. Yeah. So just reserve those so you have them. I will tell you that you brought up Google Drive. something to keep in mind, if you specify Google Drive as a repo for your files, that does not work. Because Google Drive puts on there some attributes that modify the files, and then it messes up syncing with this. You saw that when I made a new file, you probably saw I had a Google Drive on here. And you're like, hey, why don't you just use that Google Drive instead of your hard drive? There's a reason for that, because Google Drive, along with OneDrive and other places, place attributes on your files that mess up the files in Visual Studio. I don't know, Devin, were you going to say something?
I mean, I've been using it for a week and I haven't seen any issue. I
Well-
uploaded everything from the 105, 205 in this class, and I go in between on multiple tabs of Visual Studio with them.
Now, are these files, the full path name is Google Drive?
Let me see.
I don't want to say maybe that was fixed, but it's been a year.
So what I do is I just go to the top left and I just file open from folder, and I just go to my Google Drive and then I select the folder, and I just do that between all my devices.
Yeah, yes, you can do that. That's all right. I guess what I'm referring to is if, like for me, I use like Azure DevOps as basically my repository, my remote repository. We'll talk more about this in 305, but this is where it gets messed up. If I'm syncing with that, and that's the internet. They couldn't tell. I would assume OneDrive works, but I don't. Last time I tried them, well, no, actually, I didn't try OneDrive because I didn't even know how OneDrive worked a year ago. Actually, I still don't. But at any rate, just make sure you got a system in place. What you don't want to do, right, is you don't want to come to the midterm trying something new. You don't want to try, hey, I'm going to do this, because then what's going to happen is you're going to have some technical problems, and then you're going to have to retake midterm plan B, and that's just a headache for everyone all around. So again, please make sure to come to the class prepared. You have stuff in place. Don't, Devin, it's not really a good idea to say, well, I'm going to come in 15 minutes early and set up stuff. I would say you need to come in the day before and set up stuff if you don't remote in. You don't want to show up with all that.
Can we even do that? Because I was thinking about coming in a day before, but it's the 18th, and they said you can't come back to the 19th.
Well, no. This class is a Tuesday. So we meet.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I'm saying on the 19th. On the 19th, go to the Dana. Go to this thing. Go here. Go to this team. Go here. Remember, and I made a video on all this business. SharePoint. Log in. Reserve it. Say physical. All of that business. And if you're not sure, there's a video somewhere. Email me and I'll give it to you. Ooh, that's pretty cool. If you're logged in with another account, if you need to access this is something that's coming up that's not related to the class, but I'll talk about later. All right, so at any rate, cool. So let's look at the example, because I know a lot of you are probably just waiting for that. So here's the example, and there's really two. Well, I guess, are there any other questions? Before we look at how do you prepare to the midterm kind of thing.
So you said that we could upload them to Azure. Are you talking about our personal repositories?
Yeah, so you can do that, right? But what happens? What happens is that somebody could search for that because it's a public repo. So that's how answers get on the internet, kind of thing. And I don't want to say I don't care. I can just change the midterm. And it's not a big deal. But I'm more worried about like if somebody else was like looking around, well, and they tried to connect to your repo, but you would be notified of that. So I guess it's not really a big thing. Yeah, but I mean, if you want to sync it with your own public repository and that's how you want it to work, that's fine. But again, you don't need to do that. I don't know if that answered the question really.
Yes, thank you.
All right, cool. And I can help anybody set that up if they want, because I use it all the time and I love it. It's better than sliced bread. Okay, gang. So here's the midterm review. So I'll sign it, and it's due tonight at midnight. No, it's really not. I'm not even great. There's no grade. There's no points. There's no rubric. Which, I mean, if you wanted to really evaluate yourself, here I'll give you an example. This is the same exact, so you can know what to expect. But it's really the same as oh look, final exam. It's really just a typical programming assignment is all it is. So this is what a typical programming assignment looks like: documentation, readability, program connectivity, all that stuff. So I'll just attach it so you can take a look-see at it as you're working on this. There's 2 examples. I think one is harder than the other one. I don't really know. But let's assign this. All students, we'll post it in the general. Okay. But now we should get a really loud notification. If you're wearing headphones, I apologize. But it's always really loud for me. So I'm gonna take my headphones off a little bit. Ding dong. Okay. Okay. So now it's there. So now we can see under assignments, and nobody's turned it in yet. Cool. I don't know how to review that any other way. Ooh, look at that. That's a nice little thing. Okay, so you get to see something like this. It says, please read instructions on attachments. So if you open this, no. Voila. Unfortunately, you can't copy and paste any of this stuff as a picture. But you're going to write a retail item class. Again, if I'm naming this, right, I'm naming this retail item class. And, I'm going through, I got to have some variables in here, and I'm probably going to have some appropriate mutator and accessor functions, right? And what I can do for the rest of class here is I will just go through and outline these. Now, some of you will be looking at these and you'll be like, okay, no problemo, I got this. And then you look at example 2, close this. Why is this not closing? I clicked close. Oh, wow. I got a black screen. Instead of BSOD, it's, well, it's still BSOD, right? It's a black screen of death. I don't know what's going on here. Weird. Okay, let me try this again. It's on a view assignment, and I'm going to do this view. And then this is example 2. And I swear one of these were easier. Okay, I think the first one is easier. I think this one's a little bit more difficult because then you have to have a constructor that accepts the following values of arguments and assigns them appropriate memory variables. So you don't even have that specification on the last one. Yeah, because you have basically, multiple constructors. You have, and it doesn't even say yet, you have a default constructor, right? So you actually have 3 constructors. So you do have to do a little bit more work here. But it's essentially the same thing. Now, like I said, what I'd like to do is I'll just go through, how do you outline these? I'll give you a kind of a game plan. I'll make some comments on how to approach these. That might be okay for some of you. Others of you might be fine on just working on this on your own. We could also say if there's some people that want to work together, you can go ahead and do that. And you don't even have to do the same team kind of stuff. But if you want to work together, I don't know, message one each other or something like that. You figure that out. And you don't have to sit here and listen to me go through all this stuff. But I'm going to go through and talk about how I would approach laying these out. So, and I'll record it. And then you can always go back over what I talked about anyway, right? So just go back to the video about 30 minutes in, and you'll see me start talking about this. Okay, so any questions so far?
Sounds good.
All right, good deal. So again, don't feel like you have to hang out. Here you got the work here, but I'm going to just go through. I'm going to take each one step by step. I'm going to go through the whole process here. I'm going to probably start with what I have already started here and just change it to example 1. And I'm guaranteeing I will probably run out of time because I'll be talking so much that trying to think. Class goes till 12:15. I know that because I have something right after this. So just double check. Yeah, 12:15. So at any rate, I will take up the rest of the class, 45 minutes talking about this example. So that's what I'm going to do. So good deal. All right, now I just need about 1 minute here to get some stuff together. So what I have to do is figure out a couple of things. Let me figure those out. So give me about actually give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes and we'll reconvene in 2 minutes. So if you want to, if you need to log into a computer, if you need to get your notebook out, whatever you need to do, take 2 minutes to do that because I got to look up a couple of things and I will be right back with us. Okay, I don't know if that was 2 minutes or not. But at any rate, I want to look at the easier one first. I don't know, maybe this one's easier, but I'm going to look at the retail item first. That is example 1. So how am I going to approach this? Well, the good news here is that I'm going to do, I'm going to put those instructions probably on another screen for me. So you'll have to yell at me if you have a question or if somebody notices something in the chat, because I get notified all the time and I don't even know what I'm getting notified for. All right, so I'm going to lay this out the way that I would approach this. If I need to have a retail item class, like I said, right out of the gate, I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, okay, I know I need to, rename these. Might as well call them what they are, retail item. And perhaps I want to copy that because that's going to be kind of a reoccurring name that's going to come up. So I'll put that over here in Notepad so I don't have to spell it 100 times. Right. So do all this stuff. Great. And now I know that, oh yeah, you know, my class name is going to be retail item. So this is going to be in the retail item. Well, let's start here. Include what? Include retail item. Include that file .h. And I'm going to have my, obviously I'm not going to type all this header info out. And I know I'm probably going to have to do some, I'm going to need this one too, probably. Because I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Once you write a separate program that creates 3 retail objects, actually, I don't even really need to use, well, I need to output it because how else am I going to see this stuff, right? Okay, so at any rate, now the instructions don't tell us that how to do the class implementation, but I can tell you that you're going to need to do just this. You're going to have to create 2 separate files. So I'm going to have my specification and my implementation. So now, if that's the case, I know I need to do the if not defined. So if not, come on. If not defined, then go ahead and define it, right? And if not defined, retail item, you. And I'm only doing that because I don't want to do spelling errors, right? Fine. I include that. All right, I know I need to have all that stuff in there. And I'm probably not going to have anything. How am I going to, what do I need to do? Write a class name that. All right. So basically the outline is going to be like this. And this is all stuff, again, that I would I would want to have done before, right? So I know I'm going to need something like this. You know, it's going to be something like that. Now I can turn it up a little bit. I know I'm going to have private. I know I'm going to have probably some public. And it, you know, it doesn't say, you know, accepts arguments feature. You know, I could put all those in public, and it wouldn't matter. Or I don't even need to specify that. But you know, why not? Why not do it cool, right? All right. So then I'm going to have a couple of members here. Specifically, what am I going to have? Well, I know I need to do 2 things. And again, this is where it might be helpful just to write comments in and like what I want to do. I know I'm going to need an item description. I know I'm going to need like how many units I have, or units, I think they say on hand, like how many do you have in stock kind of stuff. And then the item price. So again, I don't have to figure out what a catchy name is for those. I don't know what my data types are going to be. Well, I think you could probably look at the that and see a string, an int, and a double. So again, if I know I'm going to need an int, a string, and a double, stop, go away. I'm just trying to organize my windows a little bit. Oh, hey, nice. So, oh, well, they give us the names. Well, gee whiz, we don't even have to like figure it out, because for the description, that's going to be a string, and it's going to be called description. Well, no. What I'll need to do is I need to probably include, right? And I don't know if I'm going to even output anything. Okay, string and units on hand. And again, they give us the name of the variable, so it's not anything I have to figure out. You know, and I just like to have stuff lined up. Oh well, what am I forgetting? I'm gonna have some problems if I don't. Oh yeah, and the other thing here, dirt. Okay, so then the last item there, or the last thing is double, and that's gonna be just what they call price. All right, so there we go. So you know, again, we should have no problem in doing all this stuff, but again, you could have all that stuff done before you even get here. So all you added in was just this little bit of business, right? And don't forget your semicolon there. Helpful. Now what? Well, I need to have some, you know, mutators, some accessors, and then I'm going to put in, even though it doesn't say constructor, now it says write a constructor that accepts arguments. So we're forced to write a constructor, right? So I'm going to need to include a constructor here that tells me what to do. And it just needs to be really just all right, what is it going to be? Retail item. Retail item, and then it's going to take some values. What values is it going to take? Well, you know, we know it's going to take, it says right here, member variables. So appropriate for each member variable. So I know I'm going to need 3 in here, so I'm going to need a string. If you don't want to name it yet. I know I'm going to need an int, and then I know I'm going to need a double. Now, at this level, it doesn't really matter what you call your variables. So I'm just going to take the first letter from each one. So that'll be a P, that'll be a U, and that'll be a D. All right, seems good to me. Now, I need to write this. So really, it's just going to be, that's pretty much all it's going to do, right? So at that point, that's all that it's going to do for me. And then I'm going to write the implementation of it in my implementation file. So I have to know what that looks like, right? So I don't know if we want to do that now or later. Well, let's just worry about doing the specification now. So the specification is kind of the outline, and then we'll go and do the whatever meat and potatoes later, which is in the source file here. All right, so then I'm going to go through and be like, okay, got one. Now I need to, that's it. I just need one constructor. Then I know I need to have, you know, and again, I would write that. Constructor. And then I know I need accessors, and I know I need mutators. So I knew I need those 2 things, or setters and getters, or getters and setters. So then what? Well, now we need to say, all right, for our accessors, if we're going to do those first, I have to have 3 of those because I'm going to change the description. I'm going to need to, I'm going to need to get the description. I'm going to need to get the units on hand. I'm going to need to get the price. So if those are my accessors, then all I have to do, and I know they're going to return something, so then I need to specify a data type. So I'll do the first one, which is going to be my description. And I'm going to name it something very catchy like description, right? And again, not going to implement it. Like that's it. That's all I'm doing right here. And then I know I'm going to need another one that's going to say, going to be for an integer. So that's going to be the return type. So that one's going to be get units on hand. And again, if I want to, because I spelled it unit, and I think it's supposed to be units. Yeah, see, already I'm messing up. So don't forget your friend is copy and paste, because you can just have a little spelling error like that and it'll be tripping you up, right? And you won't even know where the error is. Okay, and then the last one is just double. So that's going to be double, and it's going to be get price. Ooh, I want to capitalize that. Cool. So that's it. And again, I'm not worried about implementation at this point, because implementations, you know, well, for these, it's not too bad. I'm just returning something. And this is where we said that, you know, it's a lot more work to spell all these out in, you know, my implementation file, but it's required. Because I really want us to understand the correlation between these two. And helping it break it up like this, I think it makes it very clear what we're doing. Okay, so then the mutators then, these should all be voids, because we're not getting anything returned. These are just like doing something, right? They're assigning something to these private member variables. So these mutators are going to look very similar to really all of these. So not that I'm going to be lazy here, but I'm just going to save some time and know that, well, okay, these are void. This is void, right? And this is going to be void. And that's going to be void. And then instead of get, right, you can see how much time I'm saving here. Look at this. Look at all the time I've saved myself. You know, set descriptions. Look at this, beauty. Now I got to think a little bit here, because I have to think, what am I actually setting? Well, the name's right here. That's what the member function is saying. This is saying set description. So I know if I know I'm going to set the description, then I know I'm going to have to set something, and that's what I'm going to set, right? So again, a lot of copy and pasting here, but I think it's, you know, if you approach it this way, it makes life so easy. So I'm like double P, right? Boom. So you can see now stuff's coming to life, if you will. You know, these these member functions are named so appropriately that I really don't need a description for them. So again, I'm just looking for main parts here. Do you know the difference between an accessor and a mutator and what a constructor is? So those would be enough for comments on that. Definitely comment these guys. All right, so I've got everything you know, specified here. So I'm looking pretty good. I'm thinking, yeah. So cool. So then what? Well, I don't know. What do we want to do? Well, we should probably do the implementation of this business. What does that look like? What is my implementation file looking like? Oh yeah, and again, I mean, I see there's people here. So if you're awake and you have a question, I mean, you can always just ask. But it looks like I'm probably only going to get through one of these. Or, you know, if you want to set up some time outside of class and then we can talk about it then too, that's cool in the game. Just let me know. All right, so I got everything here. Fantastic. So now what? Well, now I need to go over to my CPP file. And now I know I need to include this .h, right? I know I need to include that. So let's include him. And then I need to say, because I didn't save it. Let's save them. I don't know why it's, yeah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, maybe for whatever reason I didn't save that. Okay, cool. So now we're good. Now we can, and I'm going to use namespace standard. And really, I don't even think I'm going to need that. Okay. But I'm probably going to need to include string. So we'll include him. Alrighty. So now I'm ready to rock and roll. What's the first thing? Well, we said we needed to do our constructor, which is this guy over here. So let's do that one first. And remember, this is the only one that looks like this. And what am I going to need to do? Did I mess that up? All right. Why is that wrong? It's the only one with one? What am I forgetting in that implementation? Me. Oh, you can't, can you? What am I forgetting about that? Hold up a sec. No. And no. Okay. And because it should just look like, just like that.
Would the error go away if you just put a semicolon after it? Or is it still saying there's a different error?
Yeah, because, right, I have to finish it off. Oh my golly. Yeah, because, right, I need to, if this is going to be my, I need to include some stuff here. So it's like, I need that, and then what is going on here with that? Hold on. Well, let's put in here what we need to have in here. What do we need to have in here? Well, we need to have all the string, all these values is really what I want to have in here. And then what is going to go on here is there we go. Okay, I'm like, what am I missing? Okay, cool. It just didn't have anything to match it up with, right? Is all. All right, so now in here, I'm going to do some assignments, right? So this is where when I call retail item, I'm going to have three things that I'm going to pass it, a description, a unit sold, and a price. So inside here, all I'm doing is saying, I have to refer back to here, and what do I have? I have this. I want to set this value, right? So I want to come back here and I want to say, okay, well, this is going to be equal to whatever the value was passed in for D, right? And then I come back here, and again, I'm copying and pasting because I don't want to spell unit on hand instead of units on hand. So again, I strongly encourage you to do that as well. Copy and paste is your friend. And even price, even though I think I probably know how to spell that, I'm just not trusting myself. Not that trustworthy. And then that's going to equal P. Okay, so there we go. Implemented, good to go. The whole kit and caboodle, right? So now what? Well, now we have to look at what we're doing next. What we're doing next is we're going to go down to get description. So what's that going to look like? Well, and we got to return a data type, or we have to return something from this. So we know it's going to be a return of a string, and we know it's going to be a retail item, and it's really going to look similar to this, except this, right? This is going to refer back to whatever the heck this is. Get description and put in some of these little friends so it knows what's up. Then I have to do something, right? So what am I going to do here? Well, I'm going to do all kinds of fun stuff. I'm really going to return, and that's all this is. It's a return. And what are you going to return? Well, we want to return this. All right, so that's it. And, again, you could get very creative with how you lay this program out. So when you show up for class, you don't have to do a lot of work as long as you know what everything is, right? Okay, so then I'm going to do rinse and repeat for the rest of these. So the rest of this stuff is just going to be, next one is int. And I don't trust myself, so I'm going to say units on hand, all of that. Forgot this. And I'm going to return. So the description, I'm going to return units on hand. This is units on hand. So again, I hope you're seeing a pattern here. And then, you know, I should have put in some comments here. But again, I don't know, whatever's easier for you. If you find that it's easier maybe to say what those are, that's okay. Or you know, you can add it in later. Well, I don't know. We'll see how much time we have, because you can see that this is already taking me, I think, 15 minutes. So, you know, you guys have an hour and a half. So maybe you want to at least get it done first, so you only lose 1 point on the documentation versus it doesn't work at all kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so then what? I just have one more, and really, I mean, you know, it's really going to look like that. And, you know, I'm just going to change some stuff. Double, get units on hand. You can see I'm just doing a lot of copy and pasting here. And I'm not going to return that, but I'm going to return this. And I think voila. Wait, no, one more. We have to do one more thing. So these were all of our things that we are assigning. So we are all, no, these are all returning. So these are all accessors. So we did accessors first. You know, maybe write constructor up there. So I know it's what. And again, maybe I just get really lazy and don't even want to spell that. So we move on to the mutators. And in here, we already know what these are. These are going to be void. Right? So they're going to probably start off with something like this. And geez, I could probably do a lot of copying and pasting here, because the only thing I really need to put in there then is this guy, my scope resolution operator, for what it is. It's for that class, right? Yeah, here again, we got to do that. Okay. Then retail item, we want to do something with that. What do we want to do? Well, again, if you don't want to worry about it right now and you just want to do the rest of these, you can do that. And why don't I just copy the whole thing, Millie? Okay, dokie. Yep. I know I have to do something there at some point. And then the last guy. So again, I really hope you're picking up on the copy and pasting, because if you're retyping this stuff, you're wasting your time, right? So let's put that guy. You're not wasting your time, but you're spending a lot of time on things that you don't have to. You know, with me, my left hand is going Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, right? You know, what I always hate to see is when somebody highlights this, clicks that, and then moves down and then does the same thing for pasting. Not that that costs a lot of time, but over the course of writing a whole program, if you're popping up a menu item, especially if you're doing it on like your laptop and you're doing it on a touchpad, oh my gosh, you're killing it. You know, you are spending a lot of time doing that. So don't do that. Use your left hand. And I feel bad, you know, there might be people that have maybe some injury or something, but I think everybody's pretty cool. But if you need extra time on a test because there's something wrong with your left hand, then let me know. Or I don't think anyone's left-handed, vice versa for the right-handed people out there, or left-handed people. Okay, so then we got all this stuff in. Now all we have to do is just mutate something. And now what are we mutating here? What's the implementation of this? Well, it's really just, you know, I got to set this value is all it is. So then once I just copy and paste. So really, I could probably do something like this and really save myself some time, right? See how easy this is? You're probably like, why didn't you show us this to begin with? I don't know. This would be Just figured it out on our own. I don't know. But at any rate, so that's it. I think that's it. The only other thing we have to do is then go back to the main and actually just drive this class to do something, and then we're done.
I had a question. Where would the destructor go in this? I didn't see if you added one or not.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
There's not any instructions for that, and we're not dynamically allocating anything, so I'm not worried about implementing the destructor. But the constructor does matter, because it would be like on the second example, it's like you need to have two of these. You need to have a constructor. You need to overload it, right? So you need to, in one case, pass it 2 values. In one case, pass it maybe 3 values or something. So then, yeah, we would create it 2 constructors. Deconstructor, meh. It's nice. Again, it's like one of those things nice to know about, but is it really necessarily? No, not in our programs right here, because we only have really one main driving function, and we're not doing a lot of other stuff and like this source file to really have to worry about freeing it up and deleting another class. So if you had this class, so a good example would be like, if in here in this class, and you had another class getting made, and then you came back to the main, well, that class is still holding on to memory that should probably be deleting. So that's where we have to worry about it. But at any rate, don't worry about it. This is all we need to have. Now we just have to go back and just drive it. I want to do this. I want to do that. And if I look at the instructions here, they say to do what? Once you've written a class that creates 3 retail item objects and stores the following data in them. So they give you like some data that they want you to have on jacket, designer jeans, and shirts. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to do this. What do I want to do? I want to create 3 retail item objects. And then I want to do that. And the other thing is I want to display each item's data. That's what I want to do. All right. So I just want to do those 2 things. Now, I do have to have some other things in here. And display, that's French. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to probably have a return statement down here just for good measure. All righty. So what am I going to do? Well, I need to probably create a new object. And I could do all this like right out of the gate. So, this could be very simple. Retail item, and we'll call it like something creative, like item 1. And then we'll put in some values here, right? And the values, it's jacket, 12, and $59.95. So I'll just put that stuff in here like so. So I'm going to pass it that for the description, this for the item on hand or the units on hand, and then this for the price because it's a double, $59.95. And I think in that would be about it. So really, once I have one item created, I know I need to do 2 more. So then I'm going to do this. And again, you guys, I hope you're picking up on, the copy and paste stuff, because you will be able to copy and paste from the instructions on the midterm. So I don't even have to spell designer jeans. I can copy that. I think they had the value of 40, and then $34.95, something like that. And then rinse and repeat on my last one. 24 was the value here. Units on hand was 20, and then these were shirts. Or just a shirt. All right, so I've created the 3 retail objects, bam. And then I need to just display the item, display each item's data. Now, display item is the only thing I'm really going to be calling here. Get description. So I'm going to need to implement that. So I forgot, I need to have something that actually does something here, right? or you know, how I would do this, I mean, you could write out each one of these, but here's a case where, and this is what I've said in each one of our labs, what we should have. If you want 100% on this, you're going to need to not call out each one of these individually, but I'm going to want to have a function do that, because otherwise, I'm going to have 3 times that I'm doing this. I could maybe put it a for loop or something like that, but why not just call a function, display each items data by calling a function to do this for me. Okay, so if I'm going to do that, I'm going to probably want a function that if I'm going to be displaying information, displaying data, displaying item data, I'm probably going to want a function called display item. So then if I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that the right way, I'm going to have a function prototype up here. And I mean, you don't have to, so you don't have to, because it's pretty obvious what it is. And this is going to be for, I'm not going to return anything. I'm going to have it display everything. So that way I'm just going to make it a void display item. And then it's going to have, I'm going to pass it something. What am I going to pass it? Well, I'm going to pass it each one of these items. So if that's the case, that's going to be my data type, right? It's not going to be an int. It's not going to be anything. It's going to be that. Okay, so then I'm going to have this down below. And again, if I don't even need to worry about the implementation of it. I just need to know that I'm going to call display item 3 times. So as long as I write this out once, like so, display item, I'm going to pass it each one of these guys. Item 1, item 2, item 3, and so on. So it'll be something like this. I'll call this 3 times and just change what object I'm passing it. All right, so then that is that. Now all I have to do is the implementation of the display item, right? So I'm going to do that down here. And this is where all my, this function, what is it going to do? It's going to display the retail item objects. So, and again, if you want to keep it, and this is generic, it's just going to be an item. I'm going to pass it. I don't know if it's a shirt or a jacket or whatever. I don't know. But here's where I'm going to go and do my output. So if I'm going to do my output, include IO stream. Okay, cool. So then I'm going to output, and this is where I would probably at least, I would use set precision, because otherwise well, in this case, it's not really going to matter because you're just going to output that, but you'll have a bunch of zeros, right? You'll have some weirdness. So you're going to want to do precision, right? Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of garbage. And that's the pretty, if you will, when we're outputting stuff. If we don't take care of that, then we have you're going to miss a point on that. So why not, include our friend IO manip, so we can do the set precision. And I'm going to set the precision to be just 2. And I'll make sure it's fixed. Or fixes. I mean, either one will work. No. And we'll probably want to also show the point. Otherwise, it's going to be weird. All right. So we set the C out, what we want it to look like. We want it to look nice. Now everything else is just, again, you don't want to type, you need to do this 3 times, or, come on. You need to do it once for the description, once for the units on hand, and then once for the price. So this is where I would say description. Description, and get a nice space there, and then this is where I need to call, right, my member function, specifically the get description, right? But in order to do that, I need to specify something here. I have to specify the object name. Keep in mind that this is the object that's getting passed in. So this is the object that I'm using to call get description, right? Bam. I'll probably want to do an end line. Or you could do a new line before it, each one, whatever you want to do. So now if I did this one time, again, why reinvent the wheel here? I'm just not. So then I'm just going to change this to units on hand. And then I know get description, that's not what it is. It's called something else, right? And then I have to go over now or anywhere, units on hand. Again, I would strongly encourage using the copy paste business. Units on hand. And then last guy is price. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. Item, all that's going to happen. So let's run it because we got 2 minutes left of class here. Well, actually, I think I'm 1 minute behind. So I just want to make sure this works. There was some build errors. What did you do wrong? Variable retail price is uninitialized. Oh, we should initialize a number. Oh, what? You did not initialize it to something. Oh my golly gee. Okay. Yeah, it's on hand. Okay, whatever. All right. Oh my golly jeepers. What are you talking about? In line 15? It is. It's initialized to that. It's got the issue here. Gosh darn it. What did I do wrong? Okay. Well, already has a body. So do I need to go back to, yeah. So I just need to say, if I'm not including that, I just need a semicolon, right? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna need to do here. Because, is that right? What am I? Oh man. Well, if you have, I know some of you might have I have a couple minutes. I'm gonna fix this real quick. And so if you want to hang out, that's fine. If you want to take off, you can just come back to the video later. Entirely up to you. But at any rate, let me know what you need for the midterm, right? So what do you need? If you need to meet for a couple minutes, whatever the case is, let me know. I would recommend going through these examples, go through the other example. I can, this is basically the solution for the first one. I could give you just a solution for the next one if you want to take a look at that and compare it against what you have. Whatever you need, just let me know. Just reach out to me via email. All right, and I'm gonna hang on. I have yeah.
I had that error before. It's because there's double functions when it says there's already a body. Do you have that right there? The void set description, that stuff down there, the mutators. Is that in your inline on main?
No.
They're not at the bottom.
No.
Void display item.
Yeah, I don't. No, because this is its own function for just the main here.
Yeah. I remember I had that issue is because I had double functions or I did something that and I just had to delete.
Yeah, I have I have to just give me 1 second here. Okay, and then all right, and then I've got that. I've got that. Dang it. No, that's not what it is. If I do that and I just say,
I thought there was just a semicolon after those.
yeah. So if I do that, that's why it says there's a double body. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, because these are like function prototypes. Yeah, duh. I knew that. Okay, cool. So there we go. And that's what it should look like, right? We called it 3 times. We have a jacket, designer jeans, and shirt. All right, well, all of that for semicolons. I mean, isn't that the bane of existence with C++ anyway? All right, cool. So just a little syntax issue or error there. All right, so that's pretty much it. So that's the solution for the first one, the first example. So it's all there. But again, I would go back over it. All right, gang. And then obviously I'm not gonna have enough time to go through the other one because that took me 45 minutes. But then I would dress it up a little bit by, if I had my extra 10 minutes or so, I would come in here and give this function a description of what it is, even though it's pretty obvious. Yeah, I only have 2 minutes. Okay, so at any rate, here's the business. This is what we got. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know how I can help. Otherwise, well, this class won't meet again this week, so that'd be it. And we will talk to you later. So everybody take care, and we will see you, some of you, on Thursday. Otherwise, have a good weekend, eh?
Yep. Have a good one.
All right, see you.